had the craziest cab ride from Gare du
Good
Nord,
Lord, I
Gare du
feared for
Nord
my life. I feared for my life.
to the hotel. And as we were planning on taking an Uber, which we discovered you could get a Uber van, so we wanted to walk away from the Gare du Nord and avoid the whole anti-Uber taxi consortium, and so we don't piss anyone off. But literally, as soon as we stepped out of the station, right,
Yes.
the taxi cab drivers swarmed on us. And I was actually
Yes.
completely overwhelmed because I was kind of not expecting that, right?
No, I was not either.
And so,
Since
I
when
mean, he's
do
up
since
in
when
my
do French
grill.
people rush up to you and offer service?
Yeah, I know, right? And he's like right up.
Oh, okay.
And so the guy, turns out his name is Jude, which, spoiler alert, Jude turned out to be a gem.
Yes.
He apparently snaked everyone else. So do you want to tell the story?
Yes.
So-
and so there was I guess a friend of his, obviously a
basically
fellow
three
driver.
three drivers come swarming at us, right? But one right in front of us.
Yes, but our Jude, he persisted and he looked at la grand volume of baggage that we had with us and insisted he could make it all work. He could fit in the suitcases, the velo, the
And I
bike
said,
case.
van, and the stuff was right in front of us.
Yes.
I need a van.
Yes, and so so the other two were not pleased that this guy had basically stolen their charge because they were queuing. They were in line for the next passenger.
Stole their fare and charge.
Yes, because they could have put on all kinds of surcharges for the extra passenger and the extra baggage. As they pointed out to him, a surcharge for les valises. And so, so as Will and the driver walked to the side of the car to try to shoehorn in the giant bicycle case, the one other driver leaned over to where our driver was bending over, putting half the suitcase in, kicked him in the derriere, and said to him...
That's ass in English.
Yes, and said to him in French, "You son of a whore, you stole my charge." And then he kind of looked at me and smiled, you know, thinking this sweet little American lady, ha ha ha, didn't understand what I just said. So I smiled back at him and said to him in French, "Soyez gentil avec vos camarades de jeu." Be nice with your friends on the playground. And the expression on his face was just shocked. And so then I just waved a little coy bye-bye at him. That made my day.
That's the part I wanted to have.
That made my day.
But that said, Jude told us up front, which was cool as opposed to us getting
there.
No,
I appreciate having all the info up front.
But it was a 72 euro ride, and Uber had quoted us 36 from
only double
Gardner, but it was like
that would have gone up with the bags,
and so, but that was a van, and Jude did not have a van, and again, this is why I love the optimism of the cab drivers. He clearly sees how much shit we have, and I keep on saying van. I need a van. This is all the stuff that I have. And so I'm expecting Jude to lead us to a van. No.
Yes.
It is
something
hatchback.
That looked like
it's
a Volkswagen Passat.
A Volkswagen Passat wagon.
Yeah.
It was basically a modern day French version of a Volkswagen Passat wagon. And I'm watching him try to shoehorn my very expensive bike, though it's protected in the case, into the back of this thing. Like,
I know,
diagonally.
And he's just kind of shoving it,
and
even though it says fragile on the side.
I'm like this close to pulling the plug on this, and he's like, "You're doing it wrong," and being polite, but it's him like,
my God.
And it's like, "Oh no, I see what you're doing." I see, which was very tactful on his part. And then he took my 50-pound suitcase and crammed it in the front safely, and it actually fit perfectly. And I stole space for Betsy, and I didn't want Betsy to sit in the front seat because I figured he would probably ogle my wife the entire time.
He did kiss my hand goodbye.
Okay, yeah,
yes,
well played,
that was
Jude.
Lovely.
But we got all the stuff in the car, not van, in the car, and I
in the ersatz van.
Yeah, and so also keep in mind in front of Gare du Nord, I have not seen that much freaking traffic ever in
It
my
was
life.
completely
Like,
bottlenecked.
no,
With
Union
an
Station,
Uber, we would have waited an hour
yeah,
easily
it was
just to
just
get the heck out of there.
taxis from as far as your peripheral
Yeah.
vision from one side to the other. And what I wanted to do, again, the plan was, I saw that when I walked out. Saw that when I walked out first, but I wasn't paying attention to the flock of cabbies coming at us. But more importantly,
Mhm.
my plan was just to walk as far away as possible and then hail an Uber.
Right.
But that said, us just getting out from where we were,
We couldn't get across the street, much less down the street.
Yeah,
I mean, we were physically blocked.
and Jude was very aggressive in him getting out, but we still sat there for like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, but the fact that he got out at all, I'm
Yeah,
still
no, that
amazed.
which right there, it showed me how of an aggressive driver he was.
I just looked down and held
Yeah,
on.
well, that's probably what I was hoping you would do, because
And then I kept thinking, wasn't Princess Di in the back seat when they
Because
had that little auto crash?
Jude gave zero fucks as opposed to like what's in his way, and so that's when the
Yeah.
journey began, and he drove super aggressively. Oddly, that there's
That's
a
an
break in traffic like
understatement.
halfway through there, and I was thinking, okay, well, the traffic is totally going to lighten. I was shocked at how much the traffic lightened out in the halfway point of the journey, but then the traffic came back.
I think Jude's driving school philosophy was if you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that Paris has designated bicycle lane and designated bus lane.
Which
And-
nobody pays attention to.
Well, most people do, and that's why it works, except for people like Jude.
Except, yes,
And
well.
Jude egregiously abused that. He was in the bus lane and saved us, ogles of time. And I should have started a stopwatch because technically Google Maps said it would take 33 minutes. I'm pretty sure the dude did it in 20.
I don't want to think about that.
But
I
more
really
importantly,
don't.
what's funny is he took a few phone calls on his phone and he was apologizing to it, which I appreciate. Whereas the other guy was
Right.
I'll talk about that one at another time. The
Yeah.
the guy from
The Algerian
yeah. Anyway, but-
cab driver.
and he was the worst driver of the bunch. But anyway, I want to capture this only because I want to share with people what it's freaking
I
like to get around
understand.
here. And so
So-
but this is a great
it's
cab ride.
adventure.
And so then the traffic comes back in full force. And the kind of the cool thing is that we're driving along and he does mention, by the way, I think he knows where we're going because we gave him the address. But he says, by the way, one thing you should do is you should go to the top of the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah,
and
the
Arc de
Arc de-
Triomphe, Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And then, which Betsy didn't know, I've never known. And,
No, I didn't know that was even a thing.
right, and me not knowing, having a kind of an idea where we were, I didn't realize. We thanked him, so I figured, okay, for $70 for this cab ride, at least I got a good tourist tip,
Well, there you go.
right? And because most Uber drivers aren't very talkative. He was the last two are very, very.
Yeah.
But as luck would have it, we were going to go into the Champs-Élysées. And the crazy thing is, that dude can drive. Because we literally went from one side of the Champs-Élysées to the other, not like one side
Right.
splinter off.
We were on a boulevard Haussmann leading up to the Arc de Triomphe, the Place de l'Étoile. And the Place de l'Étoile is a giant traffic circle, which we might call a clusterfuck, because the French traffic rule is priority to the right, priorité à droite. I've never understood what that means and still don't. And it just seemed like he was able to fight his way through that traffic circle without staying in anything resembling a lane. But then exit at the correct exit. He had to make a semicircle and exited right onto Clibert,
Which
the
was
road
completely
that we
clear.
needed.
But him
Yeah,
navigating
it
that,
was
just deftly
amazing.
making this turn in darn near
I
taking
still
out that
don't know how he
motorcycle.
did it.
cycle.
Yeah.
So
That
anyway.
was amazing.
So I wish I had my meta glasses just to film that, because that's like
I think it
a
would give
pro-
me PTSD.
a pro move,
God.
because that's like probably one of the toughest intersections
Do not try
for
it.
a driver, and it was neat watching
Well,
him
that
navigate.
traffic circle is legendary
Yeah,
among French
yeah. I'm
people.
guessing Rome they probably have worse
So
things.
think about what it's like for Americans.
Yeah. So
You know, 10 times as bad.
But we got to experience it with a pro,
yeah,
not a
we
single
got to
scratch.
soak up the local driving
Yeah,
customs. And the other thing I would add is that early on in the conversation, what made it more impressive is that while he was driving us and trying to navigate us out of the Saint-Lazare neighborhood through a lot of evening rush hour traffic, he was also on the phone at one point with somebody who was flying from Libya to Egypt and trying to communicate with him, get a sense of when he would land in Egypt. Or no, he was communicating with somebody in Egypt who was trying to find out what time the friend would arrive to Egypt from Libya. So he's literally on the phone with this guy in Egypt and telling him there's an app. You can track the progress of the plane from Libya to Egypt on the app. Get the app. I forget what it's called. It's an app.
So yeah, so now he's getting tour
okay,
advice.
we're communicating with Egypt while we're here navigating the streets of Paris.
During
this
rush
is
hour.
great.
During
rush
by the way,
hour.
this is during rush hour.
And please
It's
don't hit
7:45.
anything with this bike in the back because we really do not want to mess up this
Or
bike.
don't kill a
Or me.
cyclist because that's just bad
You know.
karma for me to be in. And as we're getting into our
God.
neighborhood, he tells me, knowing that I'm here for a bike race and that I got the bronze medal, is that it's crazy these bike riders on the streets. Like, yeah, granted, I would never try this.
That's not as bad as the Algerian cab driver earlier telling us how much he hated immigrants, although he is from Algeria, and loved Donald Trump and hoped he would be reelected. I just kind of disengaged.
That was the
there.
second cab driver.
That was the first cab driver.
No, that was well, I'm sorry. I mean,
yeah, the earlier one.
Yeah, for me,
that was
the cab drivers that I've experienced.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a
he
day.
was a
But we
character.
have good stories.
That was another good story. But anyway, the other thing is about with Jude, what set off the ride not great, was after we got Betsy settled in the seat. You know, it's my turn to go in the front, and I'm like, I can sit. You don't have to clean up the seat. Well, he's just got some stuff on the seat, like paper towels or something, and he's cleaning it up. And I was like, oh, dude, I appreciate it. I don't really need that. But more importantly, I look down as he's shuffling the stuff down to where my feet are going to be, and off the seat, a bone dry bottle, a fifth of liquor. I don't know what it is.
I'm glad that I'm just finding this out now.
I didn't want to tell you that.
Ooh,
and I was waiting for
boy.
his breath to catch up with.
No wonder why he kept the window open the whole time. I was freezing.
No, you were.
Yes.
Well, I just didn't want to.
But that was the least of my problems. I'm like, if we can just get back safely, I don't care. I'm just going to grin and bear it.
Yeah,
just deal with it, honey.
He was probably soused the entire time.
And that's why, the cold air would rejuvenate him. Well,
also,
that's just le bouquet.
Yeah. So
Hello.
That was Jude. That was one stage of our journey today, but that was just the most recent one. And and I gave him a $10 tip because I know he grossly inflated the cab ride.
It's okay.
But he was incredibly efficient. He was entertaining, to say the least. It was
not dull.
He was a very good driver. And I appreciated that because he gave zero fucks and just...
He was efficient.
Yeah, I mean, I was just amazed at,
not a safe driver by any means, but efficient.
But he did observe the red lights. I was waiting for him to just run red lights continually down for that whole trip, but he stopped at every red light.
This is true. That's
except for the very beginning when he kind of cut across that weird then he got leaned out in the very beginning of the ride.
Oh God, yeah.
He cut it. Chances are he cut off a guy. We were in jockeying for position, but he was literally trying to get across the street, and this traffic going this way, and we were trying to go that way. And he jumped in front of a guy, and the guy screamed at him, and so Jude
screamed back, "Pretender mad!"
Leaned out, and then leaned out even more. Right? Did he even open the door?
I don't remember.
But I was like, oh shit, now he's gonna get out, but it was that escalation of just kind of leaning out, screaming, and then leaning out even more to the point where you might as well do, bro, just open the door and start screaming at him. But if that was America, anything could happen.
I guess it was cathartic for him. Who knows?
But that was like the beginning before we were getting out of Gardner,
that
right?
was quite colorful.
We were like a few blocks from Gardner, right?
We were,
Yeah,
yes.
anyway.
We had not gone very far, and I thought, oh, this is going to be an interesting trip.
And we're still.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching.